Okay. Welcome everyone to our first Civil Service Commission meeting of 2020. I am Upper Darby Chief Administrative Officer Vincent Rangione. We have Acting Secretary Alexis Cicchetti. We have new members Alex Brown and Karen O'Brien. Our other new member, Rap Curry, will be joining us shortly. We also have the Honorable Mayor Barbara Ann Keffer with us this morning. Thank you, Mayor. So this is our first business meeting of the new year. We're obviously conducting it virtually via Zoom in compliance with all regulations under the pandemic, and this is a public meeting. And we will be conducting civil service business. I imagine that among, I shouldn't say we, I mean the Civil Service Commission will be conducting it. I'm just here to do the introductions. And we will, I imagine that the commission will be electing officers and organizing and setting about their work. So I just wanted to say, from the administration staff perspective, we sincerely appreciate their service to the township and their commitment to helping us with this process. Welcome, Mr. Curry. Thank you for joining us. We are streaming live on YouTube. This is a public meeting, so just so you're aware, our third civil service member, Rap Curry, is here.
I can't hear me all.
And Mayor, I don't know if you want to say a few words before we turn it over to the commission, but yeah. Rap, you might need to unmute yourself, and Mayor as well.
Thank you, everybody, for offering your time and energy to this commission. This is unusual. This is, just unusual circumstances with the emergency declaration and the pandemic. And this is really important work that you're doing now, and I really do appreciate it. This is also the first Civil Service Commission that I've witnessed or I'm a part of. So, no further ado, let's carry on. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor.
I can't hear you yet, so let me try to find.
Oh, okay. We can hear you now, Rap, but you can't hear us? So what I'll do is I'll ask Allison Dobbins, our technical support, to help Rap get his audio sorted out while I turn over to Alex Brown.
Great, thanks, Vince. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start with just explaining the agenda for the Civil Service Commission for this meeting today, and then we'll put some motions before us on how to proceed. So without further ado, for the commission, we start with the reading of the minutes, communications, consideration of any reports, unfinished business, and then new business. So to begin, for the reading of the minutes, can we do a motion to dismiss of the reading of the minutes so we can move on to the other agenda items? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a second. And can we do a vote with the members?
Aye.
And thank you. So that's one aye. Rap?
Aye.
Two. And for myself, that's aye. So we have 3 in favor of dismissing of the reading of the minutes. Thank you. The second agenda item is labeled communications. And Alexis, can you give some details of what that pertains to?
I actually, you cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
Sure. And like the mayor mentioned, this is an odd way to proceed with the Zoom. There may be technical difficulties from time to time. Thank you. Alexis, the second agenda point says communications.
Communications?
Yes.
Okay. Communications, as far as what? I'm not sure what the question is.
The agenda item says communications. Is that the communication to this meeting? Do we know from previous commissions what that pertains to?
No, we didn't. I don't believe that the same format was followed in the past as what you're doing now. In the past, the minutes weren't read. They just started announcing that there was a meeting and what the purpose of the meeting was, and then just moved on from there.
Okay, great. So
I actually sent the minutes from 2 meetings so that you could review to see what the process was. One of them from March of 2019 has to do with authorizing the commencement of the process to set a date for a new exam, which is exactly what we want.
okay, thank you, Alexis. So following the agenda, we'll have to define what the communication point is, either to dismiss that entirely from the agenda or kind of give some details as to what that point will pertain to. So for today's meeting, we have a motion to dismiss of the communications.
I'll move.
Thank you for the second, and then a vote. Wrap. The motion is to dismiss of the communication point on the agenda until we get additional details of what that pertains to.
Yeah. I'm an aye.
Thank you. And Kristen?
Karen, aye.
Oh, Karen. Okay, thank you. And
Yeah, and
myself,
Alex,
aye.
I would just
So
note,
we'll dismiss the communication agenda point until we either strike it from the agenda itself or give some detail as what that bullet point will pertain to. Next item is consideration of reports. Alexis, Vince, Mayor, do we have any reports before the commission today?
Not to my knowledge.
no reports before the commission today.
Thank you. So seeing that there's no reports to review, do we need a motion to dismiss that or just move on to the next point?
I think you just move on to the next point.
Thank you. Okay, unfinished business. I put in front of the commission, do we have any unfinished business from last meeting or previous?
Here, I know.
If there's no unfinished business, we can move to new business. We discussed, or we'd like to discuss during this meeting, the police new hire test, the police promotional test, the fire promotional test, and also a change in civil service about the new hire for fire departments and the requirement to be a member of a combination department. So the first item of business for new business would be the police new hire test. So Vince, do we have any information about the police new hire before the commission, or how would you like to address?
So we've been in contact with interim superintendent Bernhard, and he's recommended that we use Bill Davis for testing in fire department matters. And that's where we are at the moment.
Okay, so the interim superintendent recommended Bill Davis as the testing vendor. And then we,
Correct, and Bill Davis is the county police academy. I'm sorry, his title is escaping me, but he's an experienced certified vendor who is used regularly in these matters and comes with the recommendation of Chief Bernhardt and others in law enforcement.
and will Mr. Davis be doing the new hire testing process along with promotion, or is he just limited to new hire?
Yes, both.
And then what next steps do we have to move forward with Bill Davis and the testing process?
So I think informing him of the commission's intent to dispense with the current list and create a new test is really the next step, and then setting a date or setting two dates, one for each exam based on his recommendations and availability. We do have yeah, I think those would be the steps. Mayor?
So I've been in contact with Bill Davis, and after this meeting is over, if you vote to throw out the existing test and test for a new promotional test, then I'll contact him. We do have to find a venue within the township to have the tests. So I could reach out to Superintendent McGarry to see if any of the school buildings would be usable. And once I talked to Mr. Davis, who runs the police academy at Delaware County Community College, then we'll have some like final dates. He said he needs 3 weeks to set up the test, is what he told me.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
If I could ask a question, please. Are we going to operate under the assumption when we choose a venue for the tests, are we going to operate under the assumption that we're still going to be under COVID protocols and we're still going to need to have at least 6 feet distant? I think that is a contingency we should definitely consider at this point, because every time we turn around, the deadline gets pushed back. So I just think that's something we should consider when we're looking at venues, in case we are still under protocol and then we're not at the last minute stuck with a venue that isn't going to accommodate the test takers in a manner that conforms with protocol.
No, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
Absolutely, and the promotional exams are a much smaller universe of test takers, much easier to comply with the protocols. The new hire exam will be more of a challenge, but absolutely something that we need to account for.
So in regards to the police new hire test, I'd like to put a motion before the commission to remove the current eligibility list and move forward with creating a new test to create the new list for hiring. So I'd like to put a motion forward to end the current new hire eligibility list.
I second.
Kill the list.
Sorry, Alexis, what did you say?
It's to kill the list.
Oh, okay. All I heard was the list. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Do we have a second to end the current eligibility list, to kill the list?
I second.
Thank you. And then for the vote to end the current police new hire list with the intent of creating a new list.
Aye.
The wrap, that's aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And myself, aye. So that's passed. We'll move forward with Bill Davis with the intent of creating a new list and killing the old. In regards to the police promotion list, I'd look to put a motion forward to kill that list as well, with the intent of creating a new promotional task once everything is coordinated with Mr. Davis. So do we have a second for the regards to the police promotional test to be killed?
I'll second.
Thank you. And then for a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So that's passed. We will end the current promotional list for the police test with the intent of creating a new in coordination with Mr. Davis's testing. And then I'll just open it to the committee. Do we have any other remarks or comments regarding the police testing, new hire or promotional?
No.
Negative?
Alex, I would like to just make a few comments. Now that you all have chosen to do this, I just want to say we again really appreciate your service, and would like to see the commission put a lot of effort into the advertising and publicity of especially the new hire test to try to broaden our scope and pool of applicants. So we would just request that is an area of focus for the commission on that new test. I also wanted to note, just procedurally, because you're a new commission, the previous commission may or may not have operated by the book when it comes to procedural technicalities. And so I appreciate this commission's effort to remain in strict compliance with all of the procedural things that we need to do, but understanding that our prior example may not be a perfect one to follow, and we may have some hiccups as we go through, including that some of our previous members were not actually properly seated on the commission itself. So I appreciate your diligence in terms of trying to conduct the meeting as best you can in compliance with all the protocols under the circumstances. In that vein, I would recommend, and I'm not sure of the exact procedural posture, if I'm being perfectly transparent, but I think the commission probably should make some move to appoint a chairperson. And we already acknowledged Alexis as the acting secretary, but once you sort of acknowledged the chairperson, if that person acknowledged Alexis, and that would be, I think that would help us in terms of our procedural posture.
I'll make a motion to elect Alex as the chairperson.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Rap. Okay, so I guess a vote on chairperson of the Civil Service Commission.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm in favor as well. So thank you very much. The next item I have for new business. is
Alex,
the-
can I just interject for 1 second, please?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, so I'm just checking on this just to make sure that procedurally we're moving ahead correctly. So in the past, it was authorized that the CAO, he was authorized for the commencement of the process. I'm echoing back. To setting the dates. They allowed that to be delegated to the CAO because he needs to coordinate the events and order the tests. I don't know moving forward how that's going to fall now. But they would make, in the past, they would make a motion to allow the CAO to coordinate the scheduling and the notice for the exams and carry out whatever other items would be needed to move the testing process forward.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I appreciate you interjecting with that because being a new committee, I appreciate your knowledge of the history and what they've done in the past. So thank you.
Welcome.
So absolutely, following Alexis' advice and prior practice, we'll put a motion before the committee to let CEO move forward with coordination with the police department, Bill Davis for testing, with the intent of coordinating dates for the different phases of the testing. So, can I have a second for that?
Aye.
Second.
Thank you. And for the vote, Karen,
Aye.
Rapp,
Aye.
thank you. Aye for myself as well. So the CEO, Vince, may proceed with coordination with the police department and with Mr. Davis with the intent of arranging dates and locations and any other logistics that you need to implement police new hire and police promotional testing.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I will keep the commission, tightly informed on our progress there. Will that also go for the fire department promotional exam, or should we do a separate motion for that? Or
My intent was to next talk about the new business of the fire department promotional test
understood.
and do separate motions for that. So we keep police and fire separate.
Sure, makes sense.
So next item of new business would be the fire promotional test. First, I would like to do a motion to kill the current fire promotional test. And just to clarify, is Bill Davis also involved in fire, or is he strictly police?
He is strictly police. The interim chief of police, Michael Gove, has made a request and recommendation regarding the fire testing, and that is Bucks County Community College administers those promotional exams. So that's our recommended vendor for fire department promotional testing.
Okay, so Bucks County is the selected vendor for promotional testing for the fire department on the recommendation of our interim chief.
Correct. Bucks County Community College.
Thank you. Okay, so let's proceed with the motion to kill the current fire promotional test. May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Karen. And then the vote, Rapp?
I agree.
Thank you. Karen?
Aye.
Thank you. And myself, aye. So the motion passed to kill the current fire promotional test. Next is a motion to allow the CAO to proceed with coordinating with the interim chief of fire in Bucks County to arrange for the logistics of setting up a promotional test for our fire department. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. And the vote, Karen,
Aye.
Rap,
Aye.
myself, aye. So motion to let CAO coordinate with the fire department and Bucks County Community College with the intent of setting up a fire promotional test is passed. Thank you. The other order of new business, if we'd like to address, is in the Civil Service Code, the requirements for the fire speak to a requirement of a combination department. I will locate the section and so in section 402 of the Civil Code, section C as in Charlie, subsection 2 speaks to a firefighter shall have 3 years firefighting experience in a combination fire department. I will read the definition of what a combination fire department is. Just a moment. A combination fire department is a fire department in which fire protection is provided through a service which utilizes both volunteer and full-time paid firefighters. Combination fire departments are characterized by a substantial number of full-time paid firefighters working in conjunction with volunteers in a command structure, which is directly responsible to the local municipal government. Volunteer fire companies, which either pay members for a portion of their time or pay a limited number of firefighters to ensure availability of drivers, are not combination departments. And this is read from the ordinance number 2955, which is the Civil Service Code covering this. I would like to present to the commission that by mandating as a requirement a combination department, we are potentially limiting our applicant pool because this region is primarily volunteer with very few combination departments. So for discussion, do we want to continue with the 3-year requirement of a combination department for a new firefighter, or look to revising that to better reflect our communities around us and expand upon our applicant pool?
Well, my question would be, what's the rationale? What do we think the rationale is for the 3-year requirement for a combo department? I think I don't see on its face what the purpose of that requirement is. If you have a better understanding of the rationale for it, I'd like to hear it before I make up my mind.
Absolutely. And I'll ask the mayor first. Mayor, do we have any details as to why the combination department has been highlighted for a 3-year requirement in a combination department?
Well, I think to your point about it really constricts the applicant pool. To my knowledge, and I could be wrong, only Norristown, Harrisburg, and Upper Darby have combination fire departments. But there's professional firefighters or career firefighters all over the state and other states. I'm not sure that it just, I don't know the right or politically correct, but it keeps it like an insider's club to my mind. And I'm not trying to take away at all from any of the service that volunteer firefighters give in our 5 fire companies or anywhere else in the county or the state. But I do think that we would be better served by having a bigger.
Thank you, Mayor. And then for the Chief Administrative Officer, in your conversations with the interim chief of fire, are you aware of any details that would keep this requirement or articulate why this requirement of 3 years on combination department would be valuable to the township for future applicants?
It's something that's been discussed. I think part of the thrust of it traditionally has been Upper Darby does have a combination fire department, and so to paint it in its best light, it makes sure that people are familiar with the current culture and administration of what a combination fire department is. But I think the reality is that men and women who are interested in firefighting as a career oftentimes have experience as a volunteer or a part-time member, but don't necessarily that experience in order to be a very effective professional career firefighter. And so the feeling is that the elimination of the requirement opens up more discretion, opens up the ability for the commission, the department to evaluate as they come on their merits, rather than be held to the strictures of the requirement. I think there's also some concern that you're a career firefighter in a place like maybe Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, you might retire from a place like that and try to the Upper Darby Fire Department, and that's something that I think they wanted to basically prohibit in the past. But I think again, the commission and the department would probably do well to evaluate people as they come and make a determination whether somebody in that situation might have a lot of skills and experience that would be valuable for the department, or whether somebody in that situation might not be a great fit, or so on. And the requirement doesn't give you the flexibility to make those kind of decisions.
Thank you. Yep. My interpretation of 402C2 is that it would limit the applicant pool because it's so narrowly defined to a combination department. So that means a paid full-time firefighter would not be eligible, nor a volunteer firefighter would be eligible. It has to be a combination department for their experience. What I would like to present to the commission is, pending a review of the collective bargaining agreement to make sure it doesn't conflict with any terms in the CBA, which is the contract with the firefighters per union. I would propose changing the language of 402C2 to speak to something in the effect of combination department, volunteer department, or paid department, to incorporate all those aspects. So, and you'll have to help me with the mechanics, but the first motion would be to take 402C2 of the code under review for a proposed language change, pending a CBA review, a collective bargaining agreement review, and don't know if a solicitor needs to review as well for language change.
Yeah, I think we can arrange for that.
So the motion is to revise the language of Civil Service Code 402, Section C, subsection 2, have 3 years firefighting experience in a combination fire department, to change that language to be all inclusive of volunteer, combination, paid fire department experience. So may I have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you. And then for the vote, Rap?
I agree to it.
Thank you. Karen?
I agree.
I also agree. So the motion is passed to change the language of 402C2 to be all-inclusive, meaning volunteer, paid or combination fire department, continuing with the 3-year requirement, but just expanding the scope to be all-inclusive, pending a review of the collective bargaining agreement and solicitor feedback. Thank you. At this point, I'd like to open it up to the group and see if there's any other new business to attend to. So, Rap, any new business to bring before?
No, I guess my thing here is in the process of reviewing it is just kind of really getting down to the basis of like I definitely believe in opening up the door that we can review more applicants. I think there's understanding the process of what was done before, which I definitely felt was to try to keep things streamlined. But I also want to be able to understand how we're going to open them to the best candidates. So I'm just trying to make sure that as we go back and review this process, that we're just going to try to figure out how we can open the door up to get the best people in place. So that, I guess that's my concern, and all the changes that we're doing, that we're trying to open up, which I'm always up for. I just want to make sure that we're evaluating the process of how we do it so it can't be manipulated as well.
That's a great point. And Vince, maybe we can put this to you. When we approach time for advertise for the new hire for police and in the future fire, we can consult with this committee on how and what to advertise in for those tests so we reach a broader community outreach.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do think that it will, in addition to how we advertise, there might be a component of, working with our chiefs and our officers in both departments and having them actually go out into the community and attend community meetings and job fairs. I mean, I think there's going to an aspect of shoe leather or elbow grease to the advertising that's going to have to accompany the traditional newspaper, magazine sort of thing, and then also, of course, digital. Maybe there's a way for us to reach different communities in that way.
Great. So we look forward to the consultation with this membership on better ways to do a proactive community engagement to increase the applicant pool to reflect the diversity of the township.
I'd like to make one point before we move forward from this.
Please.
Given that Upper Darby is, municipal government entity, we will need to consult with the solicitor as to the requirements of advertising for a job, because there are very strict requirements under Section 504, and there are other regulations that require municipalities and government entities to advertise that they don't discriminate, that they favor veterans, etc. So that's one thing that we need to be crystal clear on before we publish any ads, that we're in conformity with that, because if we're not, then that's a huge liability for the township.
Thank you. Alexis, do you have any previous advertisements that we can review for comparison?
I do. I can email them to you.
Okay,
I mean,
thank
they're
you.
probably conforming, but we need to make sure that they are, because it's a really big liability if they don't conform and or we don't adhere to the regulations, then the township could be sued for discrimination. So I just want to make sure that we're aware of that there are affirmative obligations that we have as far as the advertising. I'm just not up enough on the regulations to tell you what they are, but I know that they're there, so.
No, I appreciate that, because we should take the most caution and care as we cast this wider net for better community engagement for future applicants.
Exactly, and the regulations, I mean, they're designed to open up government jobs to the most diverse applicant pool as well. So not only do we want to make sure that we're in conformity, but also being in conformity one would hope would help us attract a more diverse pool as well.
Thank you. Duly noted.
Sure.
Okay. And to the CAO, Vince, anything to add for new business?
No, I think we're in good shape.
Thank you. And Mayor?
I don't
Anything?
I don't have anything new to add, and I think that you got a lot done today, so this is great for your first meeting. Thank you, Alexis, for your assistance with all your knowledge of this committee in the recent past. So this is great. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just sent an example of the advertising.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And Alexis, anything else to add for the meeting?
I don't believe so. The only other thing that you may want to discuss at some point, I'm not sure where it falls, if it's in the code, is how it's determined who is eligible for the veteran preference points on the tests. In the past, those applicants who took the test, and the requirement was they had to pass the test, but that they would be given 10 points if they sent in an approved DD-214 form. But that's something that should be considered, looking in the code to have real clarity on who is entitled to the points and who is not. In the last test, I forwarded everything to the solicitor so that the solicitor would make the determination of who is eligible and who is not, because those forms have to be very specific.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's just something to consider.
And I think as we move forward and coordinate with the interim chiefs and the testing agencies, we will also be asking the commission to formalize the entire scoring metric, the breakdown of written, oral, veterans preference, et cetera, all the different categories that will go into the scoring of the exams. I think that'll be one of the next steps for the commission as we coordinate with the testing agencies.
Good, important.
Thank you. Yeah, we're off to a good start. We covered a lot of things today. So I think the last point of business is the motion to adjourn. So do we have a second for adjournment?
Second.
Thank you. We have 2 seconds.
Second and a third.
Thank you. And then the vote, Rap?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So thank you, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.